Good evening. Briefly, I want to speak about MMA journalist, sports journalist, Ariel Helwani. Now, I think if you're an MMA fan, if you watch MMA, obviously you know who he is. Um, Most notable for his show, the MMA Hour, which he recently returned to from ESPN, which was a good move because that's literally his show, his brand, well, sold his brand at least, and I personally think it was a mistake for him to go to ESPN, but that's another issue. But the point, yeah. So Ariel Helwani is very accomplished. You know, he's won credentials, awards. Um, he's had some down like bad moments in terms of his reputation being smeared, most notably by Dana White in recent years. Because this happened in 2016, UFC 199, when he was reported to have leaked news about the UFC announcing the return of Brock Lesnar, and he's obviously gone against. He snapped back at those claims, but it's the narrative that was still being pushed by different media personalities. And recently he got into a feud with Brendan Schaub, former MMA fighter, former NFL player, and because I think Brendan Schaub was kind of saying, like, was what's the word for it, was perpetuating allegations that was just smearing Ariel Hawani's name. And so Hawani kind of called him out and kind of let it be known that he's not going to be smeared anymore, that he's not going to just sit back and allow people to kind of destroy his reputation. Because the thing is, Hawani has always been, like, for years he's been seen as a instigator, which is a normal thing for a journalist, and, well, a normal thing in the sense that that's how they're perceived. Journalists are generally perceived as the instigators that are just there to kind of create a headline, create narratives, create stories on athletes, and so, or on celebrities, or on anyone, on anything. And in this case, well, within the MMA world of MMA, it's been applied to Ariel Hawani for years, but he still has respect from a lot of MMA fighters, because obviously he helps kind of, Ariel Hawani kind of them helps the fighters kind of grow their brand in a certain way when he interviews them, when he's speaking to them, because he's got a massive audience that follow him. And so, because as they go on his show, he kind of brings out the best of the people he interviews, whether it's promoters, fighters, referees, etc., trainers, so and so on and so forth. And so he deserves credit for what he's done for the sport of MMA. And I believe he's in a good position right now, because he's back on his show at MMA Fighting SPN. I remember for the MMA Hour. I think he signed a contract with BT as well. So this is a perfect way to kind of, this was a much better way for him, to kind of work, rather than just going on ESPN full time, which I'm sure many people believe was a mistake. But the point is, yeah, Harry Hawani has a personality that is quite likable, in a sense that he doesn't come across as too intrusive in a certain way. Even though he can be confrontational with some of his questioning, for the most part, he certainly has a way of bringing out the best out of the people he interviews. and he certainly always, tries to kind of have a positive rapport with fighters that he interviews. I think probably his best interviews are probably with Rampage Jackson for obvious reasons. It's kind of like the rapport is there. It's very funny and very entertaining with the way Rampage Jackson kind of bullies him, but and how Ariel Helwani responds to it. It's just very entertaining and it's quite funny as well. So and also with Chosun as well. Back in the day, throughout the years, I think Rampage Jackson and Chosun are probably his best interviews, where Ariel has shown a good rapport in the sense that he makes them feel comfortable, and in the way he makes it, he kind of adds to the entertaining aspect of interviewing and journalism within MMA. And so yeah, I think Ariel Helwani is the god of journalism in MMA. That's what I believe personally. You don't have to agree, but yeah, I mean, he deserves his respect, and obviously he's recently kind of shown anger towards people who he felt kind of smeared his name. Recently, Brendan Schaub, and unfortunately, I think John McCarthy, podcaster, former referee, legendary referee, and commentator. He's had his issues with Ariel Helwani, and he kind of recently kind of made it known on his podcast with Josh Thompson, and so yeah, which is unfortunate to see because you just don't like seeing division. You don't like seeing you just don't like seeing tarnished relationships, quite frankly. And so yes, that's unfortunate, but it's the way life goes. But the point is, Ariel Helwani, he's certainly a guy who knows how to interview. He's been doing it for over 20 years now. I think he started doing basketball first because he's from Canada, and so yeah. Since then, I think eventually throughout within the mid 2000s, he started doing MMA journalism, and then he kind of built his show from scratch, from AOL to MMA Fight SBN under SB Nation, and so he deserves his plaudits and respect, regardless if you like him or not. And so, and now he's in a good position, where he's kind of working for BT at the same time, BT Sport, and just obviously back doing what he's doing best, which is speaking about MMA. And obviously recently he's pushed the narrative of the fight behavior in MMA, especially within the UFC, and obviously Dana White's not going to be too happy about that because for obvious reasons. He doesn't like Ariel, doesn't respect him anymore, quite frankly, and I think it comes with the territory. Ariel Helwani, he's expected to be hated because that's what journalists are. They're the ones who fish out stories that drive people out there crazy, insane, that get them angry, that'll make them, people turn against him as a journalist because that's what comes with the territory. This is what journalists go through, and so yeah, he's used to it, and so but he had every right to kind of snipe back at people who were saying that he's a bad person to work with, that he's a terrible person, that terrible colleagues, stuff like that. And so yeah, I certainly appreciate him for what he does as a journalist. Always agree with some of his takes, but look, everyone's entitled to their opinion as long as it's from a genuine place, I respect him. God bless. He's great at what he does. I think he's the best within the sport MMA. He's up to grow, put awareness to it, and yeah, yeah. I think Ariel, for the most part, has a personality that is very respectful in a sense of how he kind of approaches people that he interviews, and that's very caring and considerate as well. Very considerate, I'll say. So that's what I have to say. Take care. God bless.